So back to working on the Zap here, finally. I did wire up this one, and as you can see, it's kind of just a, not the prettiest thing, but it does work. So I made pins that fit exactly on those, on the connectors, and put them in one by one with heat shrink over them. Currently right now, I've cleared off the bed. There's another pack there. And this is the actual box. So it's a fiberglass box. It's made for electrical outlets. These metal plates go underneath it. So I'm still configuring how I'm going to get them on the plates and put them in there. This is the bottom side, so I was thinking about putting some angle iron on both sides right here to go ahead and reinforce that up. I got a new workout tool. It's kind of a fun little guy. Put some swivels on it. Helps it without, so it doesn't bind up and stuff. I guess that was kind of an issue. I got some interior pieces in here for the weather seals, since those are out. And as you can see, the seat is in. These are actually hybrid seats. They're out of a Toyota RAV4 hybrid. So these are actually Toyota seats. Alright, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and tilt the bed back, and then try to work out how I'm going to put these boxes in there. And as you can see, this guy is still spinning. Alright, so since I cut off the tire support, it doesn't have anything to stop it from going too far back, which is a kind of an issue right now. So I got those straps there, and then I also have a little rope in the back just to make sure it can't go forwards. It shouldn't, but I don't want to be underneath there working all of a sudden it just closes on me. This thing weighs so much, it's ridiculous. So eventually I will have a piston that will power it. Of course, I'm probably going electric instead of hydraulic, so less chance of fluid draining and a lot more simpler. They do make electric lifts for these beds. So there's the battery pack that was in there, a little 10 amp hour pack. So I'm going to take that out. It's going to be up for sale, and I need to change the wires going to the battery, to the actual motor there. I'm in the light, as you can see. They're kind of old. I cleaned up a lot of these short wires. I think they'll be fine, but I think I'm going to go ahead and swap out the motor wires because they're the longest and they just look kind of pretty rough there on the end. I do need to take that motor off and clean it. I like to do that last, but I need to do it eventually. And if anybody didn't know, there's a little air cooler and it has a little screen filter, so that actually blows inside the motor to keep it cool. I'm all up in that light. There you go. Alright, so I put the boxes inside the Zap, and I'm kind of seeing how it fits and seeing what modifications, how I'm going to bolt it down. And pretty much how they close, and they do lock. And they are weatherproof. So in the back is where I wanted to put another one, but it just didn't fit. So I might put a range extender maybe, or another battery. We'll see what ends up going back there. Usually it's the wheel. Alright, so I took the covers off, and I've actually bolted it down into the frame. My motion sensor light there. And that allows me to see underneath it, kind of transparent. It's pretty helpful. I can see exactly where that bar is, so I can go ahead and put a couple bolts to it. I kind of made a mistake here. You can kind of see the bar going across here. I really meant to put that hole over here. So I had to go through that bar right there, which is actually kind of a thick bar. Not a big deal. I just was not trying to do that. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the back, and then 4 in the front. So 9 bolts total to hold the actual box to the vehicle. And then I have my metal plates here. As you can see, I have holes in there. There's 3 for each one of these. And unfortunately, the middle pack, I'm not going to be able to get that actual middle hole there. So I'm only going to be able to get the outsides on the middle one because it's just going to land right in the middle of the box. So I might be able to through bolt it, but I don't really think I'm going to. 4 bolts should be more than plenty. It's kind of just an overkill, which is just, I don't know, I guess that's my thing. Alright, so trying to just get everything mounted in here before I get wiring. So I see that I would need to chop this piece off if I want to drop the battery directly in like I do on the outsides. And there's not really a way for me to, cut a notch this direction so I could slide it in. That's not going to work either. So I'm going to have to drill through the bottom and put the bolts in from the bottom on this middle pack. Just because of the way the design is, and I don't really want to remove that brace. I like to keep it. And I'm probably going to put a piece of Lexan over top instead of the other covers. Because I do have metal going over top of that, so I think it's pretty safe. Fiberglass box, and then you've got the metal bed above it. That's metal. Should be good. It's probably pretty safe. Safe enough. The other thing I got going on is I got to find a way to do this middle BMS because I can't really put it on there. So I might do a BMS over here, a BMS over here, and then I'll do a BMS over there, which means that this pack will probably maybe get turned around this direction. I don't really think it matters because I've got wires on this side and wires on that side. I kind of like to keep the wires, the main wires, looking pretty in sync or whatever. I'd rather have them looking pretty uniform, and the stickers and everything, because I want them all just to be that direction. You can see the nice sticker. I'll be at 10 kilowatts. Alright, a few minutes later, I forgot I had got some heat sinks. After looking at the BMSs, I was like, oh yeah, I bought these 100 amp, 200 amp spike BMSs, and I wanted to run these heat sinks to keep them cool. Now, the only place I would be able to put this now, since it's so big and chunky, is going to be in here, but I'll have to go the other direction because the negative is over here. So I'm going to probably do something like that, because this is the only empty space I really have, because I'll have cables going that way, and I have the wires coming out there. It's going to be really a lot going on right here. So I'll run the negative from here into that guy, and then I'll have a negative coming out here with the positive, and I'll just replicate that on each one. This one right here, I'm going to have to go ahead and cut off these bolt heads so I can get this BMS to come as far over as possible. And I may even have to drill a hole for the wire to poke through. if it doesn't want to make that bend there. It's pretty flexible wire, so it might be fine. We'll have to get that middle pack in there to see. What I gotta do is get rid of those things. So I need to go ahead and pull that pack back out, unbolt that plate, take those out of there, put the plate back down, mark my holes and drill them, and then I can go ahead and run them from the bottom up for the middle pack. Alright. Yeah, you can see I got the one on the passenger side kind of in place. Here you can see the markings. It's kind of hard with all the mirror finish, but here with the X's, that's where that pack would stop at. So, I have about 2 fingers worth of space in between and a couple fingers over there, maybe a finger and a half. My finger measurements. That's pretty much where I want it to go. It's almost toward the end, but not quite. And it leaves room for me to run a wire through here, which is actually the positive. So the positive is going to run around this direction. Negative is going to go through this way, tie into, I'm going to flip that around, the blue, and then the black and positive will come out on each one. I'm still kind of debating if I'm going to join all the wires inside the box or join them outside the box. So that will be something I got to figure out. And I still got to figure out how to mount that to the wall. The BMS does have some holes there, but since I have the heatsink, I'm going to have to attach the heatsink. So I'll have to figure out how to do that. I might just make like a Lexan cover to kind of go over and hold it in place maybe. We'll see. Flash forward a little bit in the future. I have all 3 battery management systems mounted. Heat sinks on both sides. I will be putting a little fan on each one of them. I have the positive cables ran. These are very flexible cables that are actually going to be attached to the battery. And then I have the more robust welding cable on that side. And I actually drilled all the negatives through. I do apologize, I'm just getting over being sick, so I'm a little nasaled up a little bit. I will be putting a shunt bleed right there. That way I can see the energy going in and out of all 3 packs without having to look through the BMS. This side right here, these are going to go into a disconnect where I just kind of push it in, it'll disconnect, one of those. And the negative is already attached, it's right there. I eliminated the one negative that was going all the way to the front. So my disconnect is going to be on the outside, it's just going to be right here. I'll have access to disconnect the BMSs from inside. So I can hit one button, I can turn off all 3 BMSs. Or I might have 3 buttons so I could turn each one individually. I just don't know if I'd ever really need that. Maybe for troubleshooting. But I could always just unplug them. But then again, it's going to have a cover on it. Will that cover be easy to take off? Am I going to use those? Am I going to use something clear? Not sure yet. But here we are with this. So somebody else did some kind of Lamborghini golf cart on YouTube, and but they didn't show how they use this pack. And I can't believe they actually used just one pack to push all that power. I'm actually going to be using 3. I think 2 would be fine. 1, it's not quite enough. This guy's a little heavier, but still, either way. This is the wiring diagram. I kind of just conveniently wrote it on there. And that's how I'm putting them in there. So each one of these has a Pico fast-acting fuse. It's 2.5 amps. And then I'm going to end up wrapping this with something else to isolate it a little bit better. And then I have these guys. I'll put a link up to them that I found fit it just perfectly. So what I do is I pretty much go like that and just slide them on. And then on the top side, it would be flipped the other direction. And trying to create as much space between the two of them. And then it will get glued up just like that one. And my choice of glue, none other than the Gorilla. So I have to extend those wires, add Pico fuses, and then start fresh with that pack. I did attempt to try to do other things, like I cut all the slots out of that one. That's why it's got tape on it. So I put all these slots in there, and then I was going to spot weld, and then I was going to solder. These packs are annoying. This is your only best option. I tried to find this plug. I couldn't find this plug. I tried to find other people that have used these batteries and how they did their plugs. I got nothing. So I'm sharing with you how I was able to use these packs that you probably can't find anymore to power this lovely guy. You're coming soon. I know it's been a long journey. I've been busy. I got a new passion. I don't know if you can tell what it is from looking at that guy. But I've been doing it for a couple years now. Well,